What's up, guys? HellaBass here, and we are ready to talk about Champlain Fantasy Fishing. The Northern Swing is finally here. 2 events left. It's time to make a move on fantasy fishing, and if you're way behind, you need to go for the win and try to win an individual event. Let's talk about how we can possibly do that. The Classic was a great tournament. My team was very mediocre. Polnick was the only guy that made the day 3 cut. Honestly, most of them fell a little bit each day. It wasn't a great tournament for me. Congratulations to Seth Meyer for winning the event with 1,374 points. Kudos to you. And Jay Nichols, Drain the Lake, 2736. Nice job, buddy. Seth, I've already contacted you about winning your prizes from Omnia Fishing. For those that didn't win and still want to be a winner, you can use code HellaBassSummer15 right here to save 15% off on just about anything Omnia covers. Save some money. Super fast shipping. Definitely give them a chance. Check them out. They got a ton of great stuff that you may need to help you catch more bass. I expect Champlain to be a really great event. They're going to catch the fire out of them on this Northern Swing. It's going to be a little bit earlier than last year. The smallmouth are probably going to be a little skinnier. So are the largemouth. The weights might be down just a little bit, but I bet you the largemouth are going to be a little more dominant, and the smallmouth probably may not win this time. It could happen, but I would lean a little bit more on largemouth anglers. It'll be interesting to see if Ticonderoga plays this time, or if it's all going to be dominated by the northern parts of Lake Champlain. Let's get into the picks and stay to the end to make sure you don't miss Drain the Lake. All right, starting at bucket E, because that's where I like to start, and build up to bucket A. I'm going to give you my primary pick, my main pick, and I'm also going to give you a dark horse in each bucket. I feel like this week, with 2 events to go, some of us have to go big or go home to make up any ground in fantasy fishing or try to win an event. So drastic times call for drastic measures. If you're like me sitting around 80%, you got to have some big tournaments or just be mediocre. So bucket E, Garrett Paquette and Destin DeMarion are getting the bulk of the percentages. They're both northern anglers. It kind of makes sense. They both have had some decent finishes on Champlain. But I'm going to go Shane Leinberger. He's been around a while. He's fished Champlain quite a bit. He's got a couple decent finishes, some top 50s. I feel like this kind of sets up. He's coming off his first ever top 10 on Gunnersville. He's probably feeling confident. He fished in the grass at Gunnersville. He can probably find grass at Champlain. So I kind of like him as a sneaky pick at 13%. If you're looking for a dark horse, look at Kelly J. In 2017, he had a top 5 the year that Aaron Martin won that 3-day event where he nipped out Seth Feider on the last day with a monster bag. Jerkbait, we're being a little closer to the spawn. The spawn should be over. It's going to be post-spawn, but that jerkbait could be really strong on Champlain, and I could see Kelly J having a really good event, even though the rest of the season has been pretty mediocre after taking off the second half of last season. Bucket D, I'm going with Scott Canterbury. Even though he's not a northern angler, he's been there many, many times. FLW made stops to Lake Champlain all the time, so he's got a lot of experience in this time of season on Champlain. He's going to be wanting to make a big push to try to make next year's Classic on Hartwell. Expect him to have a good tournament. Obviously, Mueller, De Palma, some of those other guys are good picks as well. Another kind of dark horse pick, I think Clark Wetland. Even though he's your last year's AOI, he's not thought of a northern angler, but being a Texas guy, same reason I'm picking Canterbury here. He visited Champlain many, many times with FLW. He's got a ton of experience there. He should be at home. Should be able to power fish. Should be able to fish the way he wants. Largemouth should play a little more this year. So I think Wetland and Canterbury are very strong picks on bucket D. Bucket C, Gussie and Hartman are getting all the percentages at this time with a week before the event. Both pretty strong picks. Hartman has actually been really strong. He had a top 10 last year. I could see him doing really well. Cayuga is more of his home lake, but obviously he does very well on Champlain as well. Pipkins could be a good pick, but ultimately I'm going Brian Schmidt. He's got a great track record back to his FLW days. Grass, he does really well in grass events. He does really well on Champlain. He's a really strong pick. Could be a breakout event for him. I could see him getting a win this week at Champlain. It wouldn't be any kind of surprise to me or many people that are in the know. If you're looking for a dark horse pick, though, think about Bob Downey. He's a northern angler from Minnesota, Wisconsin. He's had some pretty good events on Gunnersville and other places, flipping grass, Neely Henry. This is his second year visiting Champlain. It fishes a lot like the lakes that are around here where I live, where Bob lives. He should do just fine. He should find himself being very comfortable there, whether he's catching brownfish or greenfish. Bob could be a really low percentage pick that could have a really good tournament. He's right on that classic bubble. Needs a couple good events to move up into that classic cut. So he's going to be fishing to make sure he makes it. I think Bob could be really good this week. So think about old Bob Downey this week at Champlain if you're looking for a sneaky pick. Bucket B, I'm going a little bit of dark horse as well. I know a lot of people are looking at Austin Felix, Taco Ito, Matt Airy, there's a lot of good talented anglers in bucket B, but I'm going Caleb Kufal. Northern angler again, loves to flip grass. This time of year, there should be some really good grass flipping options for largemouth on Champlain. He should be able to replicate a lot what he did on Gunnersville and have a really strong event. And he's also going to get to look at this lake for the second time in 2 years, and I think that's going to bid him very well, and I look for Kufal to have a really strong tournament. If you're looking for something a little different, David Mullins almost won this event last year, cranking smallies. And even though smallies may not be as big a factor this year, at 5% ownership, David Mullins is a pretty good sneaky pick here if you're looking for something with a little bit lower percentage in bucket B. Bucket A, tons of big horses here. Scott Martin has several wins or top 10 finishes in FLW on Champlain. Obviously, everybody on Bucket A is catching the fire out in this year. It'd be hard. You could really make a case for just about any of these anglers in Bucket A. But Seth Feider has almost won Champlain 2 or 3 times, and he is on an influential run this year. This could be literally where he locks up the AOI if he can punch in a top 10 at Champlain this week, and I don't think there's any reason that won't happen. So I'm going with my guy Feider. I think he's going to be on some grass fish. I think he'll find some shallow flipping fish. I'd expect him to have a really good tournament. But if you're looking for somebody sneaky, look at Brian New. No professional experience on Champlain, but he has been there about 8 times in Costas and FLW tournaments as a co-angler. Most of those times traveling with Brian New, Matt Airy, and those guys when they were breaking it down. Brian Thrift has done very well in Champlain, and I'm guessing Brian New has seen a lot of that water. He's going to be able to put his own spin on it and come up with a really good game plan to catch those fish on Champlain. So if you're looking for somebody super sneaky that could have a really big event, look at Brian New in Bucket A. Now let's move over to Drain the Lake. Just a reminder, Drain the Lake, as you use up your anglers, they cross them off your list. So depending on who you've picked in the previous tournaments, they're now longer available anymore. So here's who I saved and who I'm going with for Drain the Lake. Matt Airy, based on his FLW experience, he needs to make a little push to make the classic cut, and he wants to be at Hartwell. Greg DePalma traditionally has done very well at Champlain and Opens and Elite Series events. Seth Feider, we talked about him. He should crush it this week, and there's a reason I saved him for this week. Hartman, hammer up north. I think he's a little better fit for Champlain than he is for the St. Lawrence Seaway. Scott Martin, tons of experience at FLW, should have a really strong event. Polnick, won here last year, several top 10s, should be automatic if you haven't used them already. Pipkins, I think this also sets up to be a good tournament for him. Now, I think they will all be allowed to run to the lake, but it's going to be like a 70-mile run at the St. Lawrence. When he's had good tournaments, he's usually allowed to fish the lake at the St. Lawrence Seaway. But I like him a little bit better here than at SLR. And then Brian Schmidt again, a lock for this event for me because I haven't used him yet. My tiebreaker weight, low 70 pounds, 71 pounds, 1 ounces. It was like 72 or 73 pounds to win last year. The fish will be just a touch lighter. It may even be high 60s. We'll see. Just mind, if you guys want to continue to catch more big bass and suck less, make sure you watch one of these 2 videos coming up right here.